Hello everyone, and today we're going to be discussing the top 10 Limbus characters who've sworn. At number 1, we've got... Oh, it seems a change of plans is in order. There's a prescript that needs to be fulfilled. Jeez Louise, we've got a historical 3 pages to comb through, so let's get right into it. To save you and me both some time, I'm going to try to summarize a bit more for this one, rather than dissecting line by line. So to start us off, we're going to cover his first 2 passives, Prescript delivered on a device, and the Oracle's proxy/unlock. His first passive states that he will gain prescripts based on his unlock stage. He has 4 different prescripts that he will cycle through, those being, use a skill marked by mark of the prescript, hit a target with a skill highlighted by mark of the prescript, gain his special status, Procuration Hermes, and eliminate the remaining enemies. Now you might wonder, oh, how do I get Procuration Hermes? Ah, well, glad you asked. You see, it's this really complex process where, no, I'm just messing with you, you just gotta use skills marked by mark of the prescript. Oh, and also, you get someone using skills that have unbreakable coins. When you execute a prescript, you gain Grace of the Prescript and Sanity. For every 3 Grace of the Prescript you gain, you get 1 level of unlock as well as 1 offense level up. As mentioned earlier, your unlock level determines what prescripts you will gain. It also determines some other stuff, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Now moving on, he inflicts a status called the Prescript's Target that marks 1 random enemy. This enemy then takes extra damage from units in the index, and if you hit them with skills highlighted by mark of the prescript, you gain some nice boosts like extra sanity and grace of the prescript. But hey, we've been talking about rewards for following the prescripts, how about the punishments for failing them? Well, if you fail to follow your index mandated commands, you gain Karmic Consequence. This status lowers your defense level and gives you Fragile, aka you take a lot more damage if you continuously fail your prescripts. There are more consequences I can't discuss yet, so that's a second bridge we will cross later. Long story short, try your hardest to execute your prescripts properly. But hey, the prescripts aren't cruel. They will not punish you if you are unable to act for any reason, or if you try to act but are thwarted by a phase change or your target meeting a non-prescript approved death. Oh, and when he maxes out his unlock, he no longer suffers consequences for ignoring prescripts. So, you know, that's pretty neat. Now finally, the last line of his first 2 passives. Once he reaches a certain unlock level, he activates his special version of Shin, named Shin Fate. This is a self-inflicted status that increases his damage and makes his poise generation better, as well as making him deal more damage based on the disparity between his sanity and the enemies. Wow, that's 2 done and 3 more to go. His next passive, the Index Nursefather, states that he gains another special status whenever he enters the battlefield, Wound Casing Mask. This status increases his offense level and decreases his defense level. In layman's terms, he deals more damage and clashes better, but he takes more damage if he is hit. He also takes less damage from unopposed attacks, which is a nice bonus. But if he ever gets staggered or uses his advanced skill 3, this status is lost and replaced by another, named Sizzling Wound, which does mostly the same as the previous, but also makes you gain self-burn and self-bleed, which kinda sucks. But as compensation, you deal more damage with skills that use unbreakable coins, which is incredibly good for reasons you will see in a bit. So just put a pin in that, hold my hand, and trust me when I say, we will cross that 3rd sinister bridge when we get to it, okay? On to the next line of the passive, he gives Desire for Acknowledgement Sated to Index Proxy Don Quixote. This status makes her deal more damage with skills that are highlighted by mark of the prescript, as well as doing extra damage to enemies marked by the prescript's target. This is a nice boost, but she honestly doesn't really need it. Proxy Don Quixote is already an incredibly solid unit, so this is more a cherry on top than an actual game changer. That's enough Don Quixote though, let's get back to Yisang. I have to be honest, this was the one I was dreading. Like genuinely, just glance this over for me. Well, can't put it off forever. Let's discuss his next passive, Oracle Device Caduceus. Every time his skills flip a coin, he has 9 different weapons that the coin could pull from. each one with their own unique effect, some more desirable than others. A lot of them are pretty similar, so I'm only going to cover the damage types and special effects of each weapon. Just know that most of them deal extra damage. The hatchet is blunt and gains you poise, while the stiletto knife is pierce and inflicts sinking. The bastard sword is slash and makes you gain offense level, while the rapier is pierce and inflicts defense level down. The hammer is blunt and raises the enemy's stagger threshold. The great sword is slash and inflicts slash fragility. The lance is pierce and inflicts pierce fragility. The whip is blunt and inflicts blunt fragility. And finally, the best of the best, the scythe is slash and is always guaranteed to crit. Hope you remember them all, cause boy oh boy will they be important later. Now, on to the final passive, Imitation of a Life. This passive states that when using skills highlighted by mark of the prescript, he deals more damage based on his stack of grace of the prescript. Once you have enough though, it instead boosts all skills rather than just highlighted ones. The next line was already discussed, so we're going to move on to the final one. If his Procuration Hermes stack has reached a certain amount, and he doesn't have a skill 3 ready, he just manifests one onto the board, because why not? He totally needs to become even more overpowered. And now, the wall of text has been climbed, and we can finally understand his passives. Let us talk about his moves. Starting with his skill 1, Enwrap 330 times in long swaths of frozen blood, it's a blunt damage 2-coin Gluttony Affinity skill. And I must quickly mention that with how rare Gluttony is, this is a huge deal. I mean, now you can use a wider variety of egos on poise teams. Also sinking if you so please. This first line is really wordy, but ultimately it boils down to, this skill has a higher chance to use weapons that deal blunt damage, these being his hatchet, his hammer, and his whip. This chance goes down the more karmic consequence you have. You want this number to be high because, when this skill pulls blunt weapons, they deal extra damage. Now if you remember, I said there were a few bridges we would cross later. Well, this is one of them. The untold secret consequence of not following your prescripts. Not only does it make you frailer, but it also lowers your DPS as you will be pulling good weapons less. Moving on, if this skill is highlighted by mark of the prescript, it deals extra damage and gains clash power. A very nice touch. It gains coin power based on your poise and the targeted enemy's sinking. And then we get to cross our second and third bridge. Those being the reason extra damage on unbreakable coins is good, and the other stuff that unlock effects. The higher your unlock, the more unbreakable coins you will have. At 2 unlock, you will have 1, and at 3 unlock, you will have 2. Now, with all the bridges crossed, we can burn them all, and I won't have to say the word bridge again. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, he gains poise count on use, and then on his second coin he gains some potency and inflicts some sinking. Pretty good. Also, the bonus effects from whichever weapons he happens to pull, which is nice. This is what I believe the numbers will look like. His skill 2, Revel with Soundless Applause, Impale and Voiceless Sorrow, is a pierce damage 3-coin Pride Affinity skill that has a higher chance to produce pierce weapons and gains extra damage when using pierce weapons. These being his stiletto, his rapier, and his lance. If this skill is marked by mark of the prescript, you gain final power, which is basically just a better version of clash power. Once again, coin power from poise on self and sinking on target. He gains unbreakable coins based on his unlock stage, so at unlock 3, all the coins will be unbreakable. He inflicts some sinking with the second coin, then inflicts some count on his third, as well as gaining some poise count. Also, the extra effects from his weapons. Here's what I think the rolls shall be. Next up on the chopping block is his skill 3. Raise and laugh the blade. Cry the waterfall like the scent of fallen leaves. Which, can I say, why does Yi Sang always got whole paragraphs as his skill names? Like, come on man, it cannot be that serious. But I digress. This is a slash damage 4-coin Gloom Affinity skill that has a higher chance to produce slash weapons and deals more damage when doing as such. These being his Bastard Sword, his Great Sword, and his Scythe. When this skill is highlighted by mark of the prescript, it deals extra damage. It gains coin power from poise on self and sinking on target. The coins become unbreakable in relation to his unlock level. At unlock 3, all 4 coins are unbreakable. And finally, he gains some poise count, then gains extra poise equal to his unlock level. His second coin gains poise, his third inflicts sinking, then his fourth deals more damage the higher your unlock stage is. Gains poise count if you crit, essentially meaning you get a poise refund for this coin, and then inflicts sinking count. Once again, all of these are on top of the extra effects his weapons provide. This is what the prescripts told me the numbers will look like. Phew, that was a mouthful. But oh hey, look, a line of text I conveniently skipped over for pacing purposes. Let's give it a read. When he reaches a certain threshold of Procuration Hermes, his skill 3 changes into his skill 3-2, Furioso Replica. Well, shoot, let's just go and give that a read. Holy shit, that's 9 whole coins in a row? Not even a reuse conditional, we just get 9 straight coins? Back to business. This skill is a slash damage, 9 coin, Wrath Affinity, unfocused volley that hits up to 7 people judging by the trailer. Only one of this skill can exist at a time, so you can't just solo a level, store up 7 Furiosos, and then launch off a 63 attack beatdown. If the skill gets marked by mark of the prescript, the attack deals more damage. Now, sadly, this skill cannot gain coin power. Coin power boosts are instead turned into final power and damage increases. It also gains extra final power from your poise stack and the enemy's sinking stack. Once the move begins, all 9 coins become unbreakable, meaning the damage boost from Sizzling Wound goes into effect. Every coin of this move inflicts sinking or gains you poise potency, and you won't be able to gain any Procuration Hermes for the turn, as to prevent you from firing off this nuclear bomb the immediate turn after. You also gain Clash power as well as some poise potency and count. Then, after the attack, you inflict Burn, Bind, and Fragile to all the enemies hit by it, and consume your Procuration Hermes, forcing you to rebuild it. Now, the 9th coin is always guaranteed to be his Scythe, and deals more damage on critical hits. But, if you remember, the Scythe always crits, so you can just scrub the last 3 words of this line off, and it's practically the exact same. Oh, and also it inflicts some sinking count. Now, for the previous 3 skills, I just quickly said, oh yeah, you get the bonus weapon effects, and then moved on. But I'm really gonna dig into this one. The bonus weapon effects really come into play here. This skill already does a huge amount of damage, but imagine it inflicts slash, pierce, and blunt fragility too. Imagine it raises the opponent's stagger threshold, raises your offense level to boost the damage even more. This move is an honest-to-God slot machine that could either roll the hatchet 8 times in a row, or it could use the greatsword 8 times in a row and turn that final scythe strike into a genuine world-shattering calamity. And we're not even done. You see, there's a line in the passives I skipped over earlier. If you have Sizzling Wound and this skill is on the board, you get another special status, Indulgence in Prescripts. This skill raises your speed, ensuring you can clash with whoever you want to. It then adds special effects to Furioso. It makes each and every coin inflict sinking count, and it boosts the sinking potency applied and poise potency gained from this line. And then, of course, as the cherry on top, adds some extra damage. So, TLDR, this skill is absolutely despicably strong, and this is what I think its numbers will look like. Moving past his mock-up Furioso, we've got the defensive skill, a Gloom Affinity Evade. The higher your unlock, the more coin power this skill has. You gain poise count on combat start and poise on evade. If you are below max grace of the prescript, you are brought to max, thus maxing your unlock as well. This speed runs your unlock stages, but for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. You will gain Karmic Consequence based on grace of the prescript gained. So you get a big boost quickly, but you also get a DPS and defense loss. So use this wisely. And for the last time, here is what I think the numbers will look like. Finally, we can move on to the last thing we gotta cover, his support passive. Now, I'm not sure why you would ever want to bench this guy, but hey, you do you. Allies deal more damage on their first slash, pierce, and blunt skills each turn. So basically, the first ally to use a slash attack gets a boost. All slash attacks after that don't get the boost. Same applies to pierce and blunt. And identities in the index get a bigger boost than others. Wow, we're finally done. I can give my overall review. This identity scares me. I've got to be honest, this is a huge boost in power creep. I mean, I thought Pinky Sinclair was a huge leap, but this is our first 3-page ID ever. And like 80% of his passives, when you really boil them down, just amount to makes you deal more damage. If we're getting an ID this powerful, then what's up next for us? Is Refraction Railway gonna have like 5 Aleph Abnos? Will Kanto 10 have a 30v7 encounter? But putting my fear aside, this seems like it's gonna be a really fun ID to use, and I am very excited to test him out. For his combat strategy, you're gonna want to follow the prescripts as closely as possible until your Grace of the Prescript and Unlock are at max. To do this efficiently, try to only target foes marked with the prescript's target. Then, once at your third prescript, gain Procuration Hermes as fast as you can. Then, after all that, shred through all that remains using Furioso. His multitude of boosts to offense level, clash power, final power, and damage means I don't really believe he's going to struggle with clashing or DPS, although his defense down from sizzling wounds might cause some trouble if bosses have AoE. Then again, he does have the status that makes it so that one-sided attacks don't affect him as badly, so really the only downside I'm seeing is that he might have a bit of a slow wind-up. This idea is one you're really going to want to pick up. Although we'll Purgish Knock maybe soon, so you might want to hold off on rolling and just shard him. As a nice fun little through line for my prediction videos, I'm going to do a tier list of how strong I think each Season 7 ID is going to be. Then, in my next video, I'll correct my ranking to where I believe they actually deserve to be. Then, rank the next ID. Got it? Good. Nursefather Yi Sang goes to the very top of the list, just above Sinclair. Don Quixote is just below them, followed by Gregor, then Otis. Then below them is Faust, and at the very bottom is poor old Ishmael. Don't worry, Ishi. Soon your Nursefather will release to buff you. Hopefully. And now, I think that's finally it. If you watched this far and enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And also leave a comment counting how many times I said the word prescript. First person to say the right number will have their comment pinned. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later.